Hello everyone, and welcome back to my next Path of Titans video. Now I recently got my Sarco to adult stage, which I was pretty happy with. And I thought, why not do a little bit of a video, just a little bit of a hints and tips video about the Sarco. And maybe I can give you some kind of advice that might help you. So it's well, it can be quite a difficult and long journey to get to adult stage, and I thought I'd start here at this washed up shark, as this is sort of a beginning point on the map I'd like to show you. So let's head back into the water here just to make sure. Now I'm going to show you this location on the map here. Now you might be wondering why I'm in the ocean and not in one of the rivers. Well, I've found the river locations and the lakes now to be just so full of megs and spinos and ducks and all these other dinosaurs that are really competing with you for that small amount of space on the map. And I was getting repeatedly attacked, especially by Meg players. I found they're really in plague proportions now, especially in all the waterways on the map. So one of my big tips that I found is to come out here to the ocean, where you won't be bothered at all by anyone. It's a really great time to be out here in the ocean. I also have a Kaweckia that I'm working on at the moment, and yeah, the ocean is just a really safe haven at the moment, before they bring in more ocean going creatures, of course, which may cause things to be a little bit more difficult. One problem with the Kaweckia, of course, is that it can't really go on land. I mean, it can, but it's a real struggle when it gets on land. So of course, one bonus with being the Sarco is that we can quite easily go on land. Now I'm going to describe the area that I'm in down here. I'm just going to come back from the shoreline a little bit. Alright, so as you can see here, we're sort of just to the left of the rightmost river there. So ahead of us here is dark woods. Now of course we're not as a Sarco, you can go on land, but I certainly wouldn't recommend it when you're a smaller size. Being adult now, people can tend to leave you alone, but as soon as they see a Sarco on land, you pretty much become a massive target for every player out there, no matter who they are, seemingly. Now I'm a pretty friendly Sarco. I don't really believe in killing other players. I mean, there's plenty of fish and washed up sharks, etc. out there to eat. But occasionally, you know, it is fun to have a bit of a PvP battle, or to stalk someone and have a go at them. But when you're a small Sarco, I really recommend leaving that for later. So as I said, yeah, here we have two river systems. We have the one on the right and the left. Now these are both really cool to get into, and the further you go up, obviously the more fish will be swimming in the river, freshwater stingrays. So they're pretty good food sources. And of course other dinosaurs are going to be crossing those rivers, which makes them easier targets. And they're also going to be walking along the shorelines, and that's really a place a Sarco can make its make it strike. To the left over this side is Young Grove. It's quite a popular area. And of course there's a waystone here, so this area here is quite busy, but I do find it pretty plagued with megs at the moment. Same with this side. Even as you go further up and you sort of get to Titan's Pass on your way up to Green Hills, I used to always be at this lake up here and the river here, but there's just too many megs now. It's they've really pushed us Sarco players out further and further. And, you know, quite often now I bump into other Sarcos out in the ocean here, all along the coast. Recently they did nerf the Sarco a bit and give us lower hit points, lower health, and yeah, you can be killed pretty damn easily, especially by other adult dinos. So yeah, out in the ocean here, you really have nothing to fear besides other Sarcos. Now this location here also has Red Island. Now some dinos are crossing the ocean along this little stretch here, so that's somewhere else you can find some players to attack if you're so inclined. Red Island's pretty good. There's a carcass right on the sort of almost the shortest point across down here. And there's also one on, I think it's almost exactly the opposite side of the island actually. Might be sort of around there. The home cave I'm usually using is the one right down the bottom of the screen here. And Azure Shore is right in front of it. That's a really good place for questing. It's a really colourful location. Somewhere where you can find all the questing items pretty easy. It's nice and bright, especially on a day like today. And I might take you there shortly. Off to the left here, of course, you've got another waystone out in the ocean and another cave, so that's pretty cool. And you've got kelp forest, which is a really large area here, which is all that sort of green. There's a lot of questing to be done there. And then there's deep sea crags, which is way out in the deep there. So you've got quite a few locations here to head around, and of course you've got ocean stacks just to the right of us, which you can see coming out of the water there, and it's very similar decor underneath the water. I don't know if we can see that from here. I just see the edge of it. Now one bonus this dinosaur has over the Colweckia, which I believe they might change soon, is because it does seem rather odd that we can use this ability and they can't. Is we have the nictitating membrane, which allows us to see clearer underwater. Now this is really game changing for a Sarco. Really helps you see other dinosaurs further away in the water before they see you, and it just gives you really great vision, especially in the rivers and lakes, but it also helps you out here in the ocean. There is another one here, which is your first attack when not in combat deals increased damage, which would definitely be a bonus if you're ambushing people. But I do like the nictitating membrane. I'm using the fisher metabolism. Out in the ocean here, there's always plenty of fish, and of course there's washed up sharks on the coast, so that counts as your meat, I guess. And you get moderate food drain, which is really good. Food definitely is not something you have to worry too much about with the Sarco. You've got hypercarnivore, of course, which only eats meat. Food drains much slower, which could be pretty good if you if you just want to stick to eating the carcasses and ambushing people. And scavenger, I haven't tried, because I have tried that on another dinosaur, and it just your fast food and water drain is just is really stupid. It's really pointless. Of course, you don't have to worry about water draining with the Sarco. You just have to go into water, and your water will be topped up. Hide, I have resilient scales. I would actually normally go streamlined, I think, but when they nerfed the hit points, I thought it would be better to have increased bleed and venom healing, and especially with all the megs that are around now, they're really in plague proportions. And if you didn't know that they, when they bite you, they do deal venom. attack. There's also a couple of, well, there's a lunge and a dash now. One's on land, one's on water. I use the one from the water, and I'll show you that just shortly. So that gives you sort of a lunge attack. And lastly, there's 3 attacks. There's a bite, which does medium damage. There's a ripping bite, which I quite like, which is an attack that causes heavy bleed damage. Then you've got crushing bite, which is a charge up attack. So you basically just hold that open as long as you can, and the more you hold your jaws open, the bigger the bite. So that's crushing bite. So I'm going to show you now. I'm just going to head over to land here, and I'll show you the different bites. And actually, before we do that, what I'll do is I'll show you this charge attack. Now, this lunge basically allows you to ambush somebody that's, say there's a dinosaur up here drinking water, say it's that rock there. So what we're going to do is use our charge up attack. And there you go. Now as you can see, that's taken probably a third of our stamina. So when you do that, as you can see, just to make it back to the water uses all of your stamina. So just be wary of that. You don't want to get stuck on land, because like I said, with the lower hit points now, other dinosaurs, if you miss that strike and you can't kill them, they will hammer you. And it's quite tricky to get back to the water. Now one good trick, if you want to earn your stamina back and not use any while swimming fast, is just swim backwards. As you can see, your stamina goes up. So that's a good way to get away, especially if you have like 2 or 3 megs chasing you, trying to get you. Now I'll show you the other attack here, so let's see if we can do this. So that's your ripping bite, and that you can use for catching fish as well. It's very good. Makes it a lot easier to catch them in the water. And of course that was our crushing one, which I showed you earlier, which actually looks really cool. I really love that one. So yeah, those are the bites I'm running with. The only bad thing about these 2 bites is they do have a little bit of cooldown time, whereas the other bite that has the medium damage, that actually doesn't really have a cooldown time. You can pretty much just bite and bite. So I'm still umming and ahhing about the ripping bite and the standard bite. I'll see how I go. But yeah, it's a really nice day today, so maybe let's have a look at our dino here. So obviously I'm an adult now, so I'm full size. When I did get to full size, I decided to buy a skin for the first time. That's this one, as you can see here. I really like it. I think when I think of these dinosaurs, I think of them as sort of being camouflaged and sort of a bit muddy and dirty, and I really like this colour. I think it just, yeah, that when I think of a dinosaur like this, this is the kind of dinosaur I think of. Yeah, I really love that colour. So that's one of the skins you have to purchase. Let's just do a bit of a roar here. Yeah, very badass dinosaur. Okay, so I haven't actually seen any other dinos around for quite some time, so let's head over to Red Island. Now it's yeah, it's one of those things. I do love this dinosaur. It's probably been my most challenging one so far, as obviously before I came out to the oceans, which I only sort of did from sub-adult, I was doing a lot of the land-based quests and the river quests, etc. Here's a bit of a look at ocean stacks. It was taking quite some time to progress, and of course going on land is very slow going with this dinosaur, to say the least. not to mention the amount of times I was killed while trying to get mushrooms or you know, pine cones, etc. So yeah, my progress was hampered a few times, but since coming out in the ocean, I've really loved it, and I found that I progressed very quickly with this dinosaur. You know, every time you go to a location, you do your anemones, your starfish, your lake sponge, turtles and shellfish. You can get a lot of points very quickly and very safely. And then when you want to have a bit of fun, you can go into the river system. Like I said, there's a lot of food. Actually, you can have a look around here. There may be some, but there's always a lot of food out here in the ocean. Tuna or turtles, manta rays, etc. And then there, of course, there's the washed up sharks on shore. Now when you are swimming, you know, in a location as a sarco, I do recommend popping under the water and just double checking there's no other sarcos around. Look, I'm a dinosaur that doesn't really believe in killing your own kind, but other people certainly don't believe in that, and they will kill you. So I'm going to show you the location of this shark, which is just here. So there's another washed up shark, so if you're hungry you can always get up there if you can't get yourself any fish. Just rest for a moment. You should be pretty safe here, but anytime you're going to have a bit of a rest on the shore, just double check, make sure there's no dinosaurs around. As you can see, this is sort of the shortest point from Red Island to the mainland, so you do get a lot of dinosaurs crossing here, especially spinos. I find there's always spinos crossing to the island here, so just keep an eye out for all that. But yeah, as you can see, that's the location of the other shark. So there's one, I think, directly opposite this island. Oh, sorry, on the other side of the island, almost directly opposite. But yeah, those are two pretty handy locations for feeding. So I'm just going to quickly eat some here. And then I'm going to take you down to one of my favourite questing spots, which is Azure Shore, and that's where my usual home cave is. And there's also a turtle shell there, of course. So yeah, when it comes to playing the Sarco, I would say just be very cautious when you're small. Maybe come out to the ocean, get up to that sort of sub-adult size before you start trying to go into the river system. It just makes you a lot more survivable. Yeah, there's so many megs out there and spinos and ducks that are just going to kill you on sight. Yeah, it makes it very difficult and not very enjoyable. Whereas, yeah, coming out to the coast, it's really nice and peaceful. Yeah, there's a lot of food around. There's heaps of quests, as you can see here. Like, we've got multiple quests just here. We've got the shellfish, which are of course these ones here. So if we wanted to, we could pick a whole heap of these, and they're sort of scattered all around the place. We've got the rubble here. The turtle shells are here. And as you can see, there's some trout sort of all up here as well. So these places are really great, and it took me a long time to realise that this is really such a great place to be. Let's see if we can quickly grab a trout. There you go. So there's heaps of those out here. So yeah, so it's a very safe location to grow your Sarco, so I highly recommend it. So yeah, we'll just swing around here. We'll come to one of my favourite questing spots. Now obviously I don't need to really worry about the quests anymore as I'm adult, but I do have a few built up. Just in case I die if I try and ambush somebody. I can get some points back pretty quickly. Okay, well, looks like our server is about to restart. I might just sit here for the moment. But yeah, I do really enjoy Sarco. I think it's very much like the flyer. You know, it's a very different world you live in compared to all the other dinosaurs. And you can always come out into the ocean to escape, and as when you're a flyer, you can just fly away. So yeah, it's quite enjoyable. So I'm just going to let this counter go down, and then we're going to continue. Okay, well, we've come back from the server restart, and it's night time, which sort of ruins the vibe a little bit. While it is very beautiful at night, I really want to show you Azure Shore in the daytime. So that's a bit of a bugger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop recording now, and I'm going to come back when it's daytime again, and just give you a little run through of this area, and then also the home cave. Okay, well, the sun's coming up now, and time to have a look at Azure Shores. So you know you're getting there when you get to these blue sort of coloured rocks, or azure coloured rocks, I guess you could say. And then you'll start to get to the reef area. Now, I mean, it's not completely daylight at this stage, so the light is still a little bit tricky. But you'll see it's actually a really cool little area here. Really good for questing. You know, like I said, generally all this area that's all grassed with the reef, there's a few lake sponges scattered about here or there. But everything you want is pretty clear in the open. Some areas can be quite tricky. Now you can see there's some lake sponge in the grass there, but of course over here you can see it's pretty obvious. It's all in that open area there. And there's large clumps of everything here. I mean, you can see with all the anemones with this shallow, I mean, there's some over there, there's some over there, here, up on that rock there. You know, you're never short of anemones, lake sponge, starfish. It's just a really great area to be questing in. Very easy. You can see down there where all those starfish are. I mean, yeah, for some reason this area is really plentiful with questing items. Now, one thing I have realised, when you're using a Sarco in, say, the river system, you're generally sort of in and out of the water questing and you know, following other dinosaurs, and you don't really ever use your air up. And in case you don't know, the air is the blue bar at the bottom of the screen. Now, one thing to be wary of when you're in the ocean is it's quite easy when you're under here and you're questing to start you know, actually what it would do is we'll stay under the water for quite some time, and I'll show you. But it's easy to get distracted and run out of air. Now, like I said, when you're in the shallow river systems, etc., and you're questing and you're in and out of the water, you really don't ever notice your air going down. But here in the ocean, especially when you're right down the bottom here and doing questing, it's so easy to get distracted. So I highly recommend, especially when you're smaller, just keep an eye on that blue bar. Now you can see I haven't been under here for a long time, but I've already lost a fair bit of air. So yeah, it's definitely something to be mindful of. Now, there's a heap of starfish over here. As you can see, there's just, yeah, really great clumps of everything you're going to be collecting. I'm not going to bother with the lake sponge, but again, that's another very easy quest to do around here. But yeah, let's just have a bit of a quick look at the sort of reef system here. As you can see, it looks awesome. It's a really beautiful place. It's really nice in the daytime. I think probably only one of the nicer places is maybe Red Reef, which is really nice in the daytime. So yeah, this is one of my favourite places to quest, and as you can see, we've got heaps of manta rays and tuna here. Manta rays are generally very easy to catch. Let's see if I can stuff this up. Okay. As you can see, very easy. Okay, so yeah, so let's pop up now. As you can see there, I mean, I'm not quite halfway of my air, but we didn't really do a lot, so it's very easy to, here comes a suicidal tuna. It's very easy to lose track of your air, so just always keep mind of that, and especially if you're really deep down. I mean, this ocean goes very deep, to the point where you can go down to darkness. You know, it's a long way back up, so just be mindful of that. And you can see Red Island's just off to the side here. We're right down at the bottom, so we're just going to head to that home cave now. Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this sort of hints and tips video for the Sarco. I just enjoy talking about Path of Titans, really, and thought I'd share some of my knowledge with you guys. Now, I've got an adult stego and an adult Thala. I've got a video on both of those as well, just giving a few tips, very similar to this one. So I might put a link in the description below, so you can have a look at that. You can see here's one of the deeper, getting towards one of the deeper areas of the ocean, but it's by no means the deepest. The cave's just located on the shelf down here. Very easy to get to, and like I said, as soon as you come out of here, you've got the Azure shore right there. You've got the rivers not far. I've shown you where there's a couple of washed up sharks. You've got ocean stacks, kelp forest, you know, very close nearby, and there's usually a fair bit of activity down there as well. Something to my cave here. Yeah, so yeah, I hope you might enjoy some of my other Path of Titans videos, or you know, and a lot of content on my YouTube channel. Please, you know, check it all out. I've got a lot of stuff on there, from gaming to a lot of my other hobbies, pet keeping and travels and fishing. I hope there's something on there for you. And if you're just here for this video, then thanks for watching. And I've really enjoyed making this, and I hope, yeah, there's some kind of tips you can get out of it, and I can help you in some way. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in a video soon. Bye for now.